Bi'ur Mishnah Vav. Oh, nice one. So we said already in Mishnah Daled, we says that you will, or in Mishnah Hey also we said, you're allowed to move object in the other domain. Right? And you're even allowed to take an object from a Ptur and into the private domain. Yeah. Yeah. So it says, Lo ya'amod adam bereshut hayachid ve'ishteh bereshut harabim. A person is not allowed to stand in the private domain and drink in the public domain. I'll give you an example. There's somebody outside with a cup. Yeah, he's holding a cup. Yeah, you're not going to take the cup into the house. You're going to go outside with your no, a straw. Maybe you're in trouble. Yeah, because you're carrying the water into the private domain. Over here, you're not carrying the water into. Yeah, but you're sucking. Yeah, but you're sucking the straw into the house. If you're standing, so if you put the head out, you can drink it. You don't even need to suck it. It says you don't do that.
But you don't have hold it. Can you hold it?
Yeah, you're allowed to hold the object in the public domain. We already said. In the public, as long as you're not going to bring it inside. It says don't do it. You're not allowed to do it. I'm not going to let you do it. Why not? Or bereshut harabim ve'ishteh bereshut hayachid. Or in the public domain. You're in the public domain and you stick your hand into the house and somebody gives you a cup of water in the house. You're not allowed to do that, just to stick in your head. Be-Shabbat, on Shabbat. So he says, what do you have to do in order to drink in another domain? You have to put your head and most of your body. Not just the head, that is not enough. You have to put your head and most of your body into the window. למקום שהוא שותה, to the place that he drinks. Says, what's the idea? בגמרא מבואר, in the Gemara it explains, שמדובר במשנתנו, we're talking about a case, כשהוא שותה בכלים שהוא צריך להם. When he drinks with a vessel that he might need outside. You know? וגזרו חכמים שמא יביאם לרשות שהוא עומד בה. And the sage says, I'm afraid he's going to carry the vessel itself into the other domain. But if you're not worried that he's going to carry the vessel into the other domain, then it's enough to just put your head outside and drink. It's only a problem when you're thinking you're going to carry the vessel inside. אבל בכלים שאינו צריך להם, but if for sure you don't need the vessel, מכניס ראשו בלבד למקום שהוא שותה, then you're allowed to put only your head and you're not worried. Over here we tell you to put your whole body so that you're going to remember that you're not allowed to take the vessel out. It's not comfortable. ויש מפרשים שכוונת הגמרא אינה לכלים שהוא שותה בהם, אלא למשקים עצמם. But there are those who say we're not talking about vessels. When did the Mishnah mention vessels? It's talking about, it's even problematic with the water itself. Let's say there's a well, yeah? And you could go without even that. Even then you're allowed to do it just with your head outside. You have to put your whole body in. אלא למשקים עצמם, to the water themselves. שהואיל והוא צריך למשקים, since you need this water, גזרו חכמים שמא יכניסם אליו לרשות שהוא עומד בה. We're worried he's going to take the water to the place that he's in. You know, he needs, you want to drink? For example, you're going to go to this, I need some water, so I'm going to go like this, with my hand or something like this. No, I'm worried. Even without vessel, I'm worried. But now that I remind myself by putting all my body inside, I'm thinking, why is my body inside over here? Because I know I'm not allowed to take it over there. ולכן אסור לו לעמוד ברשות אחת ולשתות ברשות אחרת. Therefore, we're not going to allow him to stand in one domain and drink in another domain. עד שיכניס ראשו ורובו למקום שהוא שותה. Until he's going to put his body and his head and most of his body to the place that he is drinking. And this is going to remind him, I'm not allowed to take the water outside with me. וכן בגת. Oh, interesting. We actually did this. We actually did this halacha. Yeah, we did this halacha. Let's see if you remember it. I don't remember it so good. We'll see. V'chen bagat. Also when it comes to the gut. So let's discuss this a little bit. You remember we discussed it when we're doing pair. we were discussing when is a person obligated in tithing, at which point. So it says, until there's all kinds of, with the vineyard, there was also, so it says, when the worker is still working on the field and he's carrying the place from one place to place until you put it in the barrels, he can drink the wine, but it's called achilat aray. He's allowed to eat, by the way, not allowed to properly eat. And then you don't have to pay taxes on that. Yeah, achilat aray. But once it's already in the place, you're not allowed to drink now because it has to be tithed first. That's
before we bring it to the.
That's right. So I think what we're going to be discussing here is got nothing to do with Shabbat, but it's the same concept that you have to put most of your body in the place in order for it not to be tevel. We're going to see soon. I hope. בגמרא מבואר, in the Gemara it explains, שפסקה זו לא נאמרה לעניין שבת. We're not talking about שבת, אלא לעניין מעשר. We're talking about tithing. שאם הכניס אדם ראשו ורובו בגת, that if a person put his head and most of his body into the place you make the wine, where you press the wine, you used to press with the leg, מותר לו לשתות שם יין מבלי לאסרו. Only then he's allowed to drink the wine over there without tithing. שכן השתייה בגת שתיית ארעי היא, because the drinking in the gut is considered to be not permanent, it's considered to be temporary, like on the way. וכן למדנו, מסכת מעשרות, in tractate מעשרות, שותים על הגת פטור. It says if you drink on the gut, on the place where you press the wine, is not obligated. Not obligated from what? From tithing. אבל השותה חוץ לגת, but if you take the drink out of the gut, חייב לעשר. He's obligated to tithe. שהשתייה חוץ לגת נחשבת שתיית קבע, because drinking it outside of the place, it's considered to be שתיית קבע. In other words, when you put most of the body in the gut, you're walking right now, and you're in the gut, and you're just drinking because you're thirsty. But if you're outside, that already pay tithing, then you can do it. Otherwise it's tevel, you're not allowed to do it. וכן בגת, and also the same thing works the other way around. לא יעמוד אדם חוץ לגת, a person is not allowed to stand outside of the wine press, וישתה בגת, and will drink inside the gut. אלא אם כן הכניס ראשו ורובו, only if he puts his head and most of his body. גזרו חכמים, this is a decree by the sages, שמא יוצא היין חוץ לגת, maybe he's going to take the wine out of the gut, and then he's going to be drinking tevel at that moment. He's not allowed to. So if you want to drink temporary means be inside. Be inside means your whole body. How are you going to remember it? Don't just put your head. Put your whole body that you can remember. You're not allowed to take it out. Same idea, nothing to do with Shabbat. Yeah. Okay. Oh, next one. Kolet Adam, a person is allowed to, for example, take a bucket and collect water, make shamim bereshut harabim. He's standing in the public domain, and he's collecting water. How? Mina mazchela, from the gutter. You know the gutters on the house? So the water comes from the roof of the house, reshut hayachid, private domain. Now the water comes into the gutter and spills out on the side of the building. You're allowed to go with a bucket and hold the bucket over there and collect the water on Shabbos in the public domain. מן הצינור המשוך למטה מן הגג לאורך הכותל. So this is from the pipe that goes down from the roof to the width of the wall. שמי הגשמים זוחלי בו. This is the gutter, exactly our gutters. למטה מ10 טפחים. He's allowed to collect it below 10 טפחים. But it says, whoa, what's going on over here? It's coming from reshut hayachid, from the private domain. And you're holding the bucket below 10 tvachim, which means you're holding the bucket in the public domain. So it's like you're putting a bucket and you're collecting water that came from the private domain. Whoa. Yeah? כלומר, Over here, it's almost like easy. Why not? I didn't take it from the private domain. I'm just collecting it. I'm just doing halfway. But we said in some circumstances, halfway, if you remember with the Balabait and the Ani, sometimes even halfway we tell you do not do. So the question is, maybe over here, this is a halfway, we tell you do not do. So that's it. So we said you're allowed to. למטה מ10 טפחים. כלומר, שמותר לאדם העומד ברשות הרבים לקלוט בידיו. He's allowed to even collect it in his hands, או בכלי, or in a vessel, את המים היוצאים מן המזחלה, כשהם באוויר רשות הרבים, when they are in the air of the public domain, למטה מ10 טפחים, below 10 טפחים מן הארץ. שהרי למטה מ10 טפחים, אוויר רשות הרבים, because this is the air of the public domain, the air belongs to the public domain. ויש מפרשים, there are those who says, not only above 10 טפחים you're allowed to, even below 10 טפחים, like we learned it, אפילו למטה מ10 טפחים. והוא הדין למעלה מ10 טפחים, how much more so, above 10 טפחים. Over there, for sure there's not a problem, it's מקום פטור. What can be the problem? The problem might be below, but above, for sure it's okay. Okay. שום מקום פטור. הוא מבואר בגמרא, the Gemara says, don't jump to conclusion so quickly, like every time. שדווקא לקלוט את המים באוויר מותר. It says, you allowed to collect the water in the air. In other words, there has to be a separation between the mazchela, between the gather, and the time you collect it. It has to flow in the air. Oh. You're not allowed to put it right there. You're not allowed to put it right there.
You need to take the gutter out.
That's right. It needs to be...
It goes.
That's right. אבל לצרף את ידיו או את פיו, או כלי למזחלה אסור, but to make a continuation to the gather and then collect, that you will not be allowed. שכן מדובר כאן במזחלה, we're talking about המזחלה, שהיא פחות מ3 טפחים סמוכה לגג. It is less than 3 טפחים, close to the roof. והרי נחשבת כגג. In other words, it's a continuation, we're going to consider it as a continuation of the roof. If it's much below it, maybe it's not going to be. Yeah? If it's much below the roof, then it might be considered already, the gather is in a public domain already. Yeah, but it is within 3 tfachim of the roof. Okay. And that's where you put the gathers anyway. You put the gathers. שהוא רשות היחיד. Then it is then the mazchela itself becomes a private domain. הילקח המצרף את ידיו או פיו או את הכלי למזחלה. So if you make it a continuation to the gather, נמצא מקבל מים מרשות היחיד. Then you actually taking on water from the public domain ומביאם לרשות הרבים שהוא עומד בה. And you bring it to the public domain that over here you need the water to leave the private domain. Once the water left the private domain, so I'm not taking it from the private domain, I'm taking it from a comptour. From the air. Yeah, that's right. ומן הצינור, what about, this is a nice one. What about, this is a gather that goes only on the roof, but it doesn't come down. The gathers that go on the roof and it spills on the top. It doesn't have now what about if it has a downspout? The gather has a downspout and it comes out on the public domain. What then? Let's see. ומן הצינור, and from the pipe, היורד מן הגג לרשות הרבים, that goes from the roof into the public domain, הואילו פיו בולט חוץ לגג 3 טפחים ויותר, since the mouth of it, the edge of it, where the water comes out, is more than 3 טפחים from the roof, וסתם צינור אינו רחב 4 על 4 טפחים, and they don't make pipes usually more than 4 by 4, it's going to be less than 4, נמצא שאינו רשות לעצמו. We find that this pipe is not a private domain, it doesn't have a domain on its own. מכל מקום שותה. Nevertheless, he's allowed to drink from it. What do you mean? I don't understand if it's חומרה או רקולה. כלומר, בין קולט בין מצרף. Now you're allowed to whether to put it straight next to it, or not straight. שמותר אפילו לצרף את ידיו או פיו או את הכלי לצינור. You're even allowed to drink straight from it. Why? Because it's coming to the public domain already. It's in the public domain. What's the problem? In other words, the water reached the public domain and you're standing in a public domain. It's out of the house.
It comes from the
But when you get it in the public domain. It was never in the private domain for you. It's like the water in your house. It's come from the public domain, but once it's in your house, it's in the private domain. So this is in your domain already. Yeah, from a well. Yeah, right now the water in my house comes from a well. Right? They pipe it, and Shabbos I open it. I don't care, because it's in private domain. I'm getting it from a private domain, not from the well. Yeah, the pipes are in my house. I'm getting it from there. This is exactly what it is. ולקבל ממנו את המים בשבת, מפני שצינור הוא מקום פטור. The pipe is מקום פטור. If it was a wide pipe, I might have a problem. Yeah, then I have a problem. ואין בזה חילוק בין למטה מעשרה ובין למעלה מעשרה. And there's no difference if I'm receiving it from below 10 and from above 10. Because even from above 10, I should say it's going to be a problem because I'm taking it to the public domain then. I'm entering it into the public domain if I'm doing it from, it says you're taking it from where? From a Makom Ptur. Don't worry about it. Either it's in the public domain or it's in the Makom Ptur. Both way you find. שכל שהוא רחוק גג מן הגג 3 טפחים, so as long as it is removed from the roof at least 3 טפחים, ואינו רחב 4, and it's not wide 4, בין למטה מ10, בין למעלה מ10 מקום פטור. If below 10 and above 10 it is מקום פטור. Oh, it's interesting. He looks at the pipe less than 3, even if it's on the ground almost, he doesn't consider it public domain at all. He considers it מקום פטור always, as it belongs to the one. I don't know why. I would say even let it be public domain. What's the problem? Okay? ברם, אם היה רחב 4 ל4 טפחים, but if that pipe was very wide, 4 on 4 טפחים, אסור לצרף אליו את ידיו או את פיו, then you're not allowed to make a continuation, או הכלי, with the vessel or with your mouth or with your hands, פחות מ3 טפחים, less than 3 טפחים. In other words, you need to let it shoot more than 3 טפחים and then catch it. שדינו כרשות היחיד, but then, because then it's private domain, even when it comes, it looks like it's private domain, even if it comes below 3 טפחים, or below 10 טפחים into the house. ונמצא מביא מים מרשות היחיד לרשות הרבים, and then you bringing the water from private domain to public domain. ויש סוברים, and there are those who says, שאף כשהצינור אינו רחב 4 אינו מותר בצירוף. Some say that even if it doesn't have the width of 4, you're still not allowed to make it close. אלא כשהוא למטה מ10, only then, when it's below 10 טפחים, you're allowed to continue from it. שבחרון זה, אפילו אם הוא רחב 4 ל4, הרי דינו ככרמלית, because then it is a כרמלית. אבל אם הוא למעלה מ10, הואיל ואם הוא רחב 4 על 4, דינו כרשות היחיד. But because he's in the public, the area of the public domain, but he's below 10 טפחים, it's considered to be a כרמלית, from 3 to 10, like we said. לפיכך, אף כשאינו רחב 4, אסור בצירוף. Therefore, even when it doesn't have the 4 amot wide, it's still prohibited when you make it close. שגוזרים בו משום צינור שהוא רחב. Not because it's really prohibited. We're afraid that once you get used to use such a pipe, you use another pipe also. A wider pipe. מכאן מפרשים לפי דעה זו. From here we learn according to this opinion, שלא נקטה משנתנו ברישא, that the reason why the Mishnah says in the beginning of the Mishnah, למטה מ10 טפחים, below 10 טפחים, אלא משום צינור שאין הצירוף מותר בו. It's because they were afraid that you're going to take a wide pipe, אלא כשהוא למטה מ10 טפחים, only when it is down from 10 טפחים, אבל בעניין קליטת המים יוצאים מן המזחלה, but when you want to collect the water from the gutter, אפילו למעלה מ10 טפחים, even above the 10 טפחים, מותר, you're allowed to. ויש עוד גרסאות משתנות אחרי משננו. There's other explanations of this Mishnah. מה שמשנתנו מבדילה בין מזחילה לצינור, it looks like our Mishnah makes a distinction between the gutter and the pipe, and it looks like to halacha it's exactly the same. Why do you make a distinction? אינו אלא משום שדיברו חכמים בהווה. It is because this is the sages used to talk according to what they had in the time. שכן סתם מזחלה סמוך לגג היא, because usually a gutter is next to the roof, וסתם צינור בולט מן הגג 3 טפחים, and a regular pipe is usually is off the roof 3 טפחים. אבל גם מזחלה שהיא בולטת 3 טפחים מהגג, דינה כצינור. It's exactly the the same. You're right. There shouldn't be a distinction between them. It's exactly the same. They just want to tell you that this one is close to the roof, and this one, even if it's away from the roof. That's all it wanted to tell you.